to Running in Heels. I want to welcome all the listeners in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis and around the world, all where we are being heard. This is the fifth episode of Running in Heels, and it is coming to you live and direct from Bastia St. Kitts. We are happy that you have decided to join us, whether by radio or the internet, whichever area is your choice. We are indeed very happy that you joining us. As usual, you are hearing us through the kind support of our broadcasting partners, Freedom FM Radio, 106.5 FM, of course, Caribbean Broadcast Network, CBN, covering the US and the British Virgin Islands, RCP Radio and TV Online, and TDN Radio Network in the USA. Running in Heels is a mini series of weekly conversations with the female candidates who are vying for elective politics in the upcoming August 5th general elections in St. Kitts and Nevis. This is the first time in our nation's history that we have had this level of female participation in our democratic process. A whopping 7 women are set to contest the polls. I am your host, the Honorable Hazel Brandy Williams, Minister of Health and Gender Affairs in the Nevis Island Administration. Every Thursday, I try to give a snippet of my work as the Minister of Gender Affairs in particular. And so, a part of my work as the Minister of Gender Affairs, I do work with the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. And there are 7 developmental targets put forth by the United Nations, which, if achieved, we will positively transform the world by the year 2030. The 17 goals range from no poverty, zero hunger, to gender equality and decent work, to affordable and clean energy and climate action. And those are just a few of the 17 areas. What is quite noticeable, though, is that in any discussion of the Sustainable Development Goals, it touches on women and girls, the sustainability of women and girls. Indeed, our societies cannot achieve true sustainable development unless both sexes, men and women, are given equal opportunities to prosper. And some of the work I have been doing in the past 9.5 years with respect to us seeking to attain some of the 17 development goals. I would have had a number of regional conferences on gender equality in 2017. I would have instituted a biannual conference, regional conference, and at each conference we would look at a number of the sustainable development goals. We also would have had a conference on health, education, and partnerships for the goals in March of 2019, a conference in partnership as well with the Commonwealth of Nations on Women and Youth in Peace and Security, and that was held in the summer of 2019. There have been a number of local seminars as well, to sensitize our women as to the sustainable development goals. Those that I would have listed would have been in collaboration with our international organizations. Some of the other internal conversations and training that I would have had would have been sensitizing our women and girls in backyard farming. The Department of Gender Affairs has also hosted skills training sessions, especially during the pandemic, to offer women the opportunity to retool and restructure themselves as they provide for their family. We are aware that during the pandemic, women were mostly affected because most women work in the tourism industry. And so we sought to retool and repurpose our women by offering a number of training sessions: plumbing, sewing, basket weaving, fruit carving, culinary skills, and even fish pot making. And so we have tried, and we are trying to, as much as possible, see how we can retool and repurpose our women. But who can push better for women? Only women can push women forward. And that is why we have instituted this program, so that we can push our women politicians forward. We can give them the space to talk about themselves, put themselves out there, and let people know why they are running, and what they have to offer, to once they would have been successful at the polls. I want to say as well that a very important training that I would have had would have been women in the media. It is very important that women are comfortable in that space. And I want to say big kudos to the owner and CEO of this very fine radio station, Junie Liebert, because he was the one who facilitated that training back in 2019. So thank you, Mr. Liebert, for that very important workshop that we did, Women in the Media. We also had a workshop, Women in the Political Climate, testing and balancing the political climate, and balancing that with your personal life, as well as evaluating your chances and your political readiness. And that was done by the renowned Caribbean pollster, Mr. Peter Wickham. So I just wanted to give an idea as to the work that I have been doing in terms of empowering women and pushing women forward, especially in women in politics and women in heels. Today, in the fifth episode of Running in Heels, we have the candidate of the People's Labour Party for East Bastia constituency number 1. She is well accustomed to public speaking. She is well accustomed to the media. She is the host of Leadership Matters, so most persons would know her and would know of her. And so today I want to present to you our fifth candidate for Running in Heels. Even though we know you by seeing you and hearing you on Leadership Matters, I want you to introduce yourself to the public. Let us know who you are. Let us know what was it like growing up as a little girl in your constituency. Just tell us who you are.
Firstly, I am Jacqueline Bryan. I was raised in Madhouse Alley, Newtown, and by conversations we would have in school with other children, I knew my life was different to a lot of others, and that I didn't have a lot of the things that they had. Nonetheless, I have two very proud parents who always kept us grounded and focused, so those things didn't bother us. So I remember fondly having conversations in school, and when other children found out that you had to bathe outside and you had to use the bathroom outside, they say you lie. I said no, it's true. Let's just leave that alone. They don't understand, but that was the reality for some of us when I was younger. I know a lot of some older persons don't think that I grew up in those times, but that wasn't too long ago. I'm not that old. That was just the other day almost. So that's where I spent a lot of my childhood. I have very fond memories of Madhouse Alley at the time. It has changed a bit over the years, but that's expected. And it's a place that I hold very dear to my heart. We moved then afterward to Ponds Extension. Oh, and first, let me start by saying good afternoon. Good afternoon to all the listeners of Freedom FM. I just jumped straight into the story, yeah? Good afternoon to all the listeners of Freedom FM. Thank you so much for having me here. I was here before, and I like the vibe and the energy. I'm always open to a frank discussion. I thought the invitation was one that I wasn't expecting, but I was very happy to have received. And I think the initiative is a very admirable one, Honorable Hazel Brandy Williams. I believe that what you pointed out initially is something that really needs to be made a note of, because sometimes outside of politics, some things are just significant. They're significant because of how important they are, and representation for all is important. Representation for both genders is important. And I thought being on this program was in line with what I started off saying right off the bat at the launch of the candidates. I used the opportunity to congratulate all the women who are running, because some things, like I said, just aren't about political party affiliation. I am very pleased to see that both at the national and local, that's Nevis levels, we have this many women running for public office. It is just totally amazing. Totally amazing. I never thought I'd see it in my lifetime, but I am happy to not only witness it for myself, but to be a part of it. And it's history in the making. I'm happy to be a part of this history that's being made. So if I can then go back to the story, we moved then to Ponds Extension. My father worked in the sugar industry for a number of years, and it wasn't a lot to support a family. And so he had a little shop on the side, what people might call mom and pop shop, but over the counter shop. And he did that while working at the sugar factory. So Daddy worked 2 jobs to support his family. We did what we could. My mother was a stay-at-home mom at the time, doing what she could. And he eventually left the sugar factory and went into his own business full time. We moved to Ponds Extension, and that's where the story continued. I grew up there, went to high school there. And so that is, those 2 are my home. So East Bastia generally is my home. I know we like to think of Newtown as the heartbeat of East Bastia. So I'm East Bastia to the bone. I love my area. I love the people. And I know that we are full of passion. We have a strong history there. I refer to it as the home of champions because that is just what it is.
Sports in particular.
I'm telling you. But all around it's some bigger, like
and
sports,
music.
Can I tell you? And that's one of the reasons why I have plans to highlight our history, because I think that to reignite the pride that the people of the area used to have, we need to just reassociate ourselves with our past and our champions of the past, the people who have made a name for the area, who have come out and have done amazing things. And our young people need to know who they are. Sure. To inspire them, to let them know that your circumstances don't determine where you're going to end up. That's where you started off. But things can happen. Your life can change. I'm also hoping that my story will help to inspire other young boys and girls that right now, when you wake up and you look around you, it might look grim. It might not be what you want to see, but it's not where you're going to stay. Okay. And there's a path for you. It may not be able to see it, but continue staying focused, work hard, and with the right support, you can achieve your dreams and goals. You don't have to throw your dreams out of the window and say, well, I ain't gonna never make it, this ain't gonna get no better, No, you can do great things. That's still possible.
That's true. You said that most persons think of East Bastia as just Newtown. For the general information,
a lot of East Bastia like to think of Newtown as the heartbeat, the center.
So, give me the parameters of your constituency.
Well, so that East Bastia is the second largest constituency. Okay. Yes, so I came in to the race. I was the last candidate to be announced, and I had the second largest constituency to cover. So the border actually begins on the right side of East Bastia and goes all the way back to the Southeast Peninsula and comes up there around Taylor's and goes all the way back. We don't include Neesmith, that's number 8. So all of that going all the way back. So Taylor's, that section of Bastia, Newtown, Ponds Pasture, Ponds Extension, Frigate Bay, Bird Rock, Southeast Peninsula, all of that, yeah.
Okay. That is a very wide.
It is very wide.
Wide cross section of.
Yes, I don't.
Landmass.
So Talbot, who has number 8, which is the largest, I don't envy him at all. I'm just gonna take my portion and try and do what I can to get through it.
Okay, very good. You spoke about where you grew up, as a little girl. Give us an idea as to what organizations you were, engaged in growing up, and even when you would now have come of age, what kind of programs you yourself would have done for younger persons in your community.
Okay, so I have been a member of the Seventh Day Adventist Pathfinders. That was a very awesome time. I love the Pathfinders. I would encourage anybody to get their children into that group. And that really came about. Not we're not Seventh Day Adventists, but we attended the Seventh Day Adventist primary school, and the affiliation just grew, and the people of the church were so nice, and the school was so nice. We eventually became members of the Pathfinders, and that itself created lots of opportunities for us to meet other people, socialize in other ways, learn a lot of things that we probably would not have learned. I mean, I have a knot board at home. I can tie so many different knots. I had learned a lot of outdoor skills because you get badges for different things. Yes. So I have my badge for cooking outdoors. Yes, camping and all that. It was really exciting. And because they used to have these points in time where pathfinders from other countries would come together, you couldn't travel as a youth. You don't really have it like that. But get to meet people from other territories, and that's exciting for you. Oh, you're from Antigua. Wow, tell us about your country. You're from Barbados. I then went on to be a member of the St. Kitts National Youth Parliament Association, and I spent a lot of my years there. I was committed to that group until I got to the age where they said you're no longer
But I hope you're still giving back in some way to that group.
Anywhere I can. Okay. Anywhere I can. I left for school, but since I come back, I try to stay involved with the group anywhere I can. I probably can do more, but I think one of the things I try not to spread myself too thin. Mm-hmm. So I was with that group up until I left for university. And once I returned from university, I wasn't a part of any group. Oh, before I left, I was also, because of my work with the St. Kitts National Youth Parliament Association, I became familiar. We did some volunteer work with the St. Kitts Sea Turtle Monitoring Network. And I thought that was awesome. I learned so much about the turtles. I said, wow, we have these turtles coming to St. Kitts and they're endangered. This is so awesome, because you don't learn a lot about our local flora and fauna here. So for me, it was amazing. And when I actually saw one, the size of it, the processed nature, I'm just amazed by nature. Awesome. Yeah. So I then ended up becoming a volunteer with them. And my sister and I started going out with them separate and apart from Scanaipa. So that for me was also amazing. And the Ross students, I must say, their commitment to preserving what we have really just amazed me. And I always wondered why more locals didn't get involved in that, because it was important. I just thought that these turtles chose us, that made me feel special. It's
all about the awareness. I think
maybe
persons getting to know. For me, the experience for me with the turtle is when they come in and you tag them, and then a year after they come
right back. Yeah.
Yes, that was the
isn't that amazing? So so that has been my involvement. And when I came back from university, I remember my boss at the time, Mr. Clive Backus, who has been a great mentor to me over the years. And unfortunately, we don't have much time to speak about, because when you spoke about the women in media, I've been in media for almost two decades. Okay. I might give away my age. And some of the things you're talking about, we training women, that's a part of the plan I have. But when I came back from school, I remember Mr. Baker said, Jackie, what you doing? You can't just do nothing. That's not you. You're always helping people. You're always doing something. Find a group now. But instead of finding a group, while I was in Jamaica, I think it opened my eyes to how important education is, because you get to see some things in Jamaica that, for some children, you realize that they might never get an opportunity to do certain things. I said, no, when I come back home, I have to find a way to make sure that I can help children get as far as they need to get. And that's when I started the reading program. Okay. I chose reading because I thought that was a barrier. When I found out that some children were going to high school and could not read, and then they have to have a special reading program in high school, I said, what? No, man. If more of us got involved and helped, then maybe we could change that. Luckily, the Tucker Clark Primary School already has a really good reading center focused on that. So I decided to work along with them. They would make recommendations and say, Jackie, these are students we think you could work with. We would try to work with them during the summer, during August, to help them prepare for school and decrease summer learning loss. And that's what I did when I came home.
Okay. So now onto the political part. That's what we are here to talk about. Um, you are now with the one of the youngest political parties in St. Kitts Nevis, and the buzzword out there is the youngest but the fastest growing political party in St. Kitts. Give me an idea as to what are some of the initiatives that your party is hoping to put out there if you are successful in at the polls on the 5th, and specifically what are some of the programs that will be done specifically for women and girls.
Well, I'm happy you asked that question. And based on how you phrased it, I think I can bring it down to my local plan for East Bastia, because my plans would have been adopted as things the party will also implement. You see, what you spoke about earlier about helping women train in different areas, acquire different skills, that's something that's very important to me. I have realized that coming out of the pandemic, and this is something I've said even at work, because where I work, I'm surrounded by a lot of males. And I remember at a meeting, I had to point out that the pandemic might have disproportionately affected women more than men, and explain why that was. We know that most of our households are headed by women. We know that some industries have more women working in them, especially at certain levels. So the tourism sector, when that closed down, we know that a lot of people were out of work. A lot of households now were affected. A lot of children would have felt it because their parents, their mothers are not working. Some of the ideas I've had have been made better as a result of the conversations I've had with people. And I appreciate making those connections so much. Speaking with so many people have helped me put things into perspective better. So the good plans I thought I have been made better by speaking with the people of East Bastia. Thank you all so much for taking the time to share your thoughts and ideas with me. I really appreciate it. I tell people you don't have to speak with me. So when you give me even 5 minutes, man, I am grateful. Thank you so much.
Let me just push this in here. During your canvassing, give me one or two, maybe two or three of the salient issues that women are talking about, what they would want you to address.
Housing at the very top of the list. And I completely understand. A lot of families are crunched in some small places. They're renting. By the time they finish paying rent and their expenses, they don't have much left over. And we have a culture in St. Kitts where you find several generations living in one house. Now, nothing is wrong with that. That is, we don't have that much land space. We don't have that many options, but we have to create solutions for that. And I have a lot of mothers saying, Jackie, my children need to have better conditions. And in some sections of East Bastia, the living conditions really need to improve for some households. I'm telling you, it gets really bad. And so housing is at the very top of the list.
Okay.
Below that, I would say, is employment. And we can understand why. We've come out of the darkest days of the pandemic, and we know that a lot of people are unemployed as a result. So that means that we have a lot of mothers who are women who can't fend for themselves. They can't provide for their families, and the families are pretty much dependent on them. So that's something that also needs to be addressed. And I would say just below that would be opportunities for their children, opportunities for them, opportunities to do something different. So even with the plans I've now included a scholarship program. I've said, you know what? If you are in a position where the job market has become so competitive that you need to now make yourself more competitive, or if you were forced to do something else because you lost your job, so find yourself trying to sew or trying to cook or doing something you were able to do all the time. And even if you got a job and you still want to do it on the side, because like I said, my dad had a full-time job and was still doing his thing on the side. Nothing is wrong with that. We think we can help you develop your skills further, or change, just retrain altogether if it's necessary. Anything that is necessary to ensure that you are in a better position to make life for yourself and your family better, then we're willing to do that. So I say to mothers, if you probably didn't get an opportunity to do any CXC subjects, that's a reality. Or maybe you don't have as many as you'd like, something as simple as that. If you can commit yourself, apply yourself, and get it done, then we would be willing to facilitate that through a small scholarship. And nothing is wrong with that. We have AVEC, we have CFBC. Let us use the institutions we have to help people improve themselves. If you want to go and do something part-time at AVEC, maybe you want to learn how to do plumbing. I know I've seen short courses for women before in how to do a little under the bonnet work with cars. If you want to do a little course in cosmetology, I'm saying to you, we know that you're already stretched. I'm willing to provide scholarships for that. So anything we can do to support them, strengthen them, make them, put them in a better position to provide for themselves and their families, then we're willing to do that.
Very good. We are almost coming up to halftime when we open the lines. And so the numbers to call are 662 1065 or 465 6474 or 465 0546. So Jackie, tell us.
Can I also tell you about I have a lot of plans, Mrs. Brandy Williams. I have a lot of plans.
I know you have a lot of plans.
Yeah, so
perhaps we will get you to outline that in our magazine that is yet to come.
Oh,
It's coming up shortly. So we'll get all the plans.
There's a
laid
magazine.
Out.
Okay.
There's a magazine. That's phase 2 of Running in Heels.
But I also have, so apart from, we also want to help support them and their children. And some parents are not in a situation to give children everything they need for school. Right. I don't know if you heard me spoke about that, the fact that sometimes they don't have the internet to do the research. Sometimes the teachers say, okay, print out these pictures and put them in your book, but ain't everybody got a printer?
True.
I've printed so many things for people. I said, no, man, how can we help in that area? So if I feel that I could expand my reading program to include a homework assistance program, so children can come after school and we can get big brothers and big sisters there to assist them. Yes. We have to develop a spirit of volunteerism among our people, get people to help people. That's one of the best ways to address some of these things.
Perhaps that could form part of the curriculum, the education curriculum, that if you were to put in certain hours of volunteerism, that could go towards a particular your grade in a particular subject. So maybe that is something you can speak with the Minister of Education, the Shadow Minister of Education, to be implemented as well. Tell me, coming into politics, is there any particular person or persons who would have inspired you, who you would have looked up to and say, I want to be that kind of person, if I and when I get into politics? Who would that person be, your persons?
I don't think that I have any particular politician that I can say I wanted to emulate, but there are people who have definitely had an impact on my life and who I think would have just led me down the path to say, if there's anything you can do for the greater good, and if you feel strongly about it, go for it. So right at the top would be my mother.
Okay.
And I honestly believe I would not be here today if it was not for my mother, because she's the type of person who would say, well, Jackie, if that's what you really want to do, I'm behind you 100%.
Very good.
So my mommy has supported me with so many things. So and she has also assisted with me getting things done. When I left for university, I had a 2-year-old. Yes, I had a 2-year-old. It was one of the most difficult times of my life. It was my first child, and I was leaving for school. And I remember the plan was to go specialize in broadcasting at the Caribbean School of Communications, and then I don't know if I've ever shared this publicly before, and then to go on to do my degrees
Okay.
in the because I wanted to do something in international relations so badly. So I
Okay.
said, let me go do the media and
First.
communications first, and then go and do international relations. But once I finished at Carimac, I've missed her so badly. I wanted to come home. I wanted to come home. I said, no, man, mommy, man, I'm going to do this degree again. You know, I want to see my child. I want to come home. I miss her so badly. And I felt also like I wasn't living up to my responsibilities as a mom. Yes. And I remember mommy saying, something wrong with Kalia? I mean, with Maya? She ain't eating. What are you trying to say? You don't feel like she been taken care of? Watch you. Just finish. Just finish, please. Just finish. She ain't got no reason to come home. She's well taken care of. That is my child. So right now, you don't have to worry about her. Please stay and finish this degree. Yes. If you come home, there's no guarantee if you'll ever get an opportunity to go back. And I was ready to go home, but mommy said, no, you're not coming home, Jackie. You're going to finish. You're over there already. You're going to stay over there. You're going to finish. Maya is in good. I keep saying Kali, that's my second daughter. Maya is in good hands. That's you don't tell when she was born. You told me that's my child, and so I have my child. Taking care of my child, you stay and finish school. So she's at the very top.
Okay, that brings me into my next question. Well, just an extension. Your political life, your professional life, having to balance community life and your family. What is your support system like?
But if it was not for my support system, I would not be here. Let's start out there. My political life, I think Daddy has a big role to play in that. I've always been interested in politics. I've always been around politics. Daddy has been actively involved in politics since I can remember. So I remember him going to nominate people on nomination day. I remember him speaking on the platform. I remember it took up a lot of his time, and he was so involved. That he is a warrior, I'm telling you. And I was always just amazed at his fighting spirit and his involvement. But right now, you mean as of right now? Wow. I don't know. Luckily for me, my family has been very supportive. Very, very supportive. I have a very supportive partner who is running everything at home right now, taking care of a second daughter. And my mother is still helping out. My sisters, my brother. I could not do what I'm doing right now without them, because it allows me to just drop certain things and focus on my campaign. And they even, so my sister would say, you eat yet? And my partner would say,
checking in on
yes,
you.
check in with
Okay,
me.
very
I have
good.
a very supportive team as well. They help me to get things done, because even on the campaign, we try to help people as much as we can. We've done a lot to help as many as we can so far. And I said, yes, this is exactly why I got into this race. I already feel rewarded, when we can help somebody do something. You see a family in need, and you say, okay, this family has this need, guys. What can we do to help them? And we have helped so many people so far. It already feels rewarding. And I'm not in government yet, so I just could imagine
what it would be
it would be like.
Okay. We are still battling the pandemic. We are on the backside of it, really. How do you think that the present prime minister and your party leader has handled the economy and the pandemic and the loss of job? How do you think he has handled that?
I think he has handled it as best as he can. It's easy for people to say how something should have been done. And it's easier to do it when what you're tackling has never happened before. Everybody will have their own ideas of how it should have been handled and what should have been done. But it's not just me who say so. His popularity is through the roof. His approval is through the roof. So we know that on the ground, whatever he did to bring us through that time, the people have said, yes, we think you did as best as you can. We think you did a good job. We think you tried to look out for us and our best interest. So I think that he has done a good job of bringing us through some really tough times, and we can compare that to other territories. We can't do things in a vacuum. If we look at what has happened around us in some other places, we look at the news, we read, and we keep up with what's going on. We know that St. Kitts and Nevis, while it was a very tough time for us, we have fared pretty well.
Okay, we will now open up the lines. We'll continue to discuss our conversation, but I will open the lines. The numbers to call again, they are 662-1065, 465-6474, and 465-0546. Good day, caller. You on Running in Heels?
Yes, I'm here listening to you all young ladies. Jacqueline, your girl Bernice. I see you have a lot of ideas, but Lord, we no more feel like to put no more house in our window. You got the house thing, you got everything, but no more room there. I wonder if they're going to build a skyscraper. If you all get team, that's all. Me helping the children, that's a good idea. With the work and so. But you still have a lot to do with when it comes to children. Jacqueline, some children just go to school, hungry, so the mother, something may have it to give them and so. With all the money was sharing out, sometimes when I heard another person was talking this morning, it was amazing. So sometimes they try to cater for some little children when they come to school because, they didn't get the breakfast they're supposed to get. And so, in my days, you drink a little bush and a bread and you go to school. But these days, you're looking for more than that, So, I don't know what to do, what you are going to do with that. You got good ideas, but, I will say, I may be wrong, but I will say that I ain't seen the room for the ideas of what you have. Because land is a no-no. Because sure going back behind you, they're going to forget, but that's commercial land. All the way back, maybe somebody done sold out. So, I don't know where we're going. Monkey or Jacqueline, I don't in some Paul.
Thank you, caller. I'll allow her to answer you, caller.
That is not there.
The calls?
If you have any more. Caller, good day. You are on Running in Heels.
Good afternoon, my dear.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Newtown lady.
Good afternoon.
How are you today?
I'm blessed. Thank God for life. How are you?
Wonderful, man. Wonderful. I'm alive. You have entered politics, right? You are an ambitious young lady. Have you ever heard of the quotation, "A man is known by the company he keeps"?
Yes.
Yes. Now, if you are ambitious, and if you mean well, in the presentation of the people who vote for you, don't you think you should pick or choose the best leader to follow?
Yes.
Yes. Well, as an ambitious young lady, how can you associate yourself with a leader who has been involved in so many scandals? A young, brilliant lady like you. How?
Caller, that question, perhaps you can meet Miss Bryan at her office and discuss that personally. But if what we are discussing are ways in which she would try and improve the situation. Yes.
Sister Brandy.
Yes.
This lady is presenting herself to the public as their champion.
Mm-hmm.
And so she has to be not sinless, but without plenty sin.
Yes, but
And
she has.
one of the greatest sins she is now committing is to be associated with a leader who has been involved in so many scandals.
Caller, you cannot decide who has sinned and who has not sinned. So I would not want to continue that discussion about
Okay,
her
okay.
sin.
Let us forget
Okay?
it. Let us forget it.
Yes.
Let us forget it. Okay.
Thank you
All
very
right.
much for
Okay.
calling.
Okay.
Caller, good afternoon. You're on Running in Heels. Hello?
Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Jackie.
Hi.
Well, somebody has got to join the fight. And I must commend all the females, because I am one who encourage political participation by women. Now, to the housing, some apartments I think were done on Wellington Road. And the project was to have maybe 2 or 3 more blocks put up. What is your position on it and your party's position? Have they discontinued it, or is there any intention? Because that to me would be one way of solving some of the housing problems you describe. So could you give me an idea about it? At what stage is it? Is it completed? You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
Yeah, what is your position on that project?
She will take another call
All right.
and she'll answer. Good afternoon, caller. You're on Running in Heels.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And good afternoon, host. And good afternoon, Jackie.
Yes, good
Hi.
afternoon.
This is Mr. Politics here.
Okay.
Jackie, I want to commend you for your effort, your bold effort you make to go into politics to represent the people of number one. And with a new political party, well vibrant and energizing. Now, Jackie, you're going into politics now. You're into politics. You're running in this election. And I know that the people in number one are struggling, especially when it comes around land, because no much land in number one. And I would like to know what you will do when you get in for the people in number one to further housing project and all those things. Because this is what we want. We want young people into politics. And we want brilliant people into politics. We want people who care about people. And all the time I always listen to them on different radio talk show. I'm going to make the host voices. And I know that you is a capable person, and I believe that if you get into government, you have a lot to do for the people of number one, because I see that you will get things done. And you with a good Prime Minister, Dr. Harris, a man in politics all the time in government, and you all will learn along the way. So, the negative one, I want to challenge us all kind of manner of things. But you be strong and keep up the good work and continue to do what you got to do. And if you get into government in this election, just show the people at number one. Don't run from the people. When you're elected, you make sure you go find the people and do it, and you look for your supporters then. Because this is what we want. We want young people into politics. We have sufficient lawyers, doctors, and all kind of things, and they fail us. You understand?
Yes.
And I believe you all will do a wonderful job with the people, with all of that. All right.
Okay, thank you very much, caller. Good afternoon, caller. You're on Running in Heels.
Hi, good afternoon. I have some questions for Ms. Bryant.
Yes.
My first one is, she has been doing the role of press secretary since Ms. Valencia exited. Why wasn't she given the opportunity to be the full-time press secretary with the title, even though her prime minister now, party leader, was in charge? Why didn't he give her that opportunity as a woman? My next thing is, I'm not sure if I missed it before I started tuning in. Miss Gray posters and vehicle was vandalized. Even the car was vandalized just a few feet from where her father lives. has she condemned it or anything as a woman to woman, saying that these things should not be happening? And also, she spoke about housing. Her party is willing to go and build on the aquifer. That is a white space where housing could have gone. Housing didn't be either on the PAM, on the Labour, not even under this unity, because of obvious reason that the land is protected. Newton people and East Basset people was not able to live amongst themselves, which in that is good foreign land for people to get housing. But yet here we are trying to go and build a school and persons are still out of house. So if you could please answer those 3 questions for me.
Thank you very much, caller.
Thank you.
I'll give you a chance now answer these questions.
Okay. I just finishing up right what the last caller would have said. Okay. So allow me to thank the caller for your kind words and encouragement and your belief that I would do a wonderful job. I believe I would do a wonderful job. Otherwise, I would not have entered the race. I think that I can offer the kind of representation that the people of East Bastia can be proud of. I think that I could initiate the kind of change we want to see and drive the kind of transformation that we need in East Bastia. So thank you so much for your words of encouragement. I know that the housing issue in East Bastia is a serious one, and I don't want us to take a grim look at the matter at all. We should not already throw our hands up in the air and say, oh, there are no lands. What can we do? I believe that when we put our minds together, we will be able to work something out. It might be a little bit more challenging than other constituencies, but I don't at all feel that it is impossible. The Prime Minister has announced that should he form the next administration, he has a serious plan to undertake where housing is concerned, a serious project, a massive project to undertake where housing is concerned. And I'm certain that when we consider the options that are available, when we look at some of the challenges and thrash out some of the solutions, I alone won't be able to do it. I definitely would have to work with some experts, maybe some in the legal area, and others in construction and stuff like that. We can come up with some ideas. With regards to Wellington Road, I'm not familiar, I'm not certain with what else needs to be done. I know that recently another unit was constructed. I'm not up to date with all government programs, clearly. I'm not in government. I try to remind people that I'm not up to date with all government programs. I've tried to ask questions where I can. And the fact that that was built means that there are ways, right? There's more to come. I know that for certain. And at least we know that there are some ways. And if we just sit down and take the time to thrash it out, we might be able to come up with even more ways in which we could provide housing solutions for the people of East Bastia. I would also like to say to the first caller who said, I sound good, I have a lot of good plans, but she doesn't think they can be implemented. No. We can't think like that. Otherwise, we would just be depressed. We have a lot of challenges. And good economy, bad economy, there are always going to be some sort of challenge to address. But we must always take the time to speak with the necessary stakeholders to see how we could address those challenges. I'm a very optimistic person. I don't know if that's going to work against me, but I'm a very optimistic person. And I always feel that teamwork can make the dream work. And sometimes it might take a little bit more time, a little bit more effort. Sometimes the discussions need to go on a little longer. But I always feel that solutions can be found if we take the time to find them. So all my good plans will become a reality if we take the time to sit down and have the discussions. And with the exception of the housing issue, I don't think anything I've proposed is impossible. To me, when I consider what the issues are and how I have proposed to address them, I think it is doable. I think it can be done. I think with the support of Dr. Harris, who has proven that he is ready to do what is necessary to provide support the support he can for people, that I can get it done. So I want to reassure you that the good plans will become real plans if I take office. I also would like to say that I was never fulfilling necessarily the role of press secretary because I have a strong media and communications background, and that is an area in which I specialize. I was asked to do certain things. I can assure you, the amount of responsibilities that come with being a press secretary, I never fulfilled that role. I hosted press conferences, I hosted leadership matters, but I also had a very important job in the Ministry of National Security. And so that is where I was. They would make their decisions as to. So I don't think it had anything to do with being a woman or not. That role we've seen a woman occupy it, we've seen men occupy it. So that had nothing to me to do with being a woman or not. But look at me today. I am here. She's spoken about press secretary, but I would think that this is an even bigger opportunity than being press secretary. Here I am, Mrs. Brandy Williams, presenting myself as the candidate for constituency number 1. You understand? Dr. Harris has given me that opportunity not to just talk about wanting to see more women in politics, but to know. Can I tell you? Like they would say in Jamaica, at you. One of my lecturers used to say that all the time. So I have also come out and condemned already. So I have encouraged people, let's run a clean campaign. I have said that we know that in our political environment, we have these things that take place. Unfortunately, I don't know why it was done. It's very unfortunate. I don't think that those kind of acts achieve anything. So I have said it, I think on 2 occasions before, that I am running a clean campaign. And on the last time I mentioned that, I encouraged everyone who is with me and with other parties to do the same. Because if I'm conducting myself a particular way, I would want the people who are with me to do that. But we can acknowledge every political cycle and season, these things happen. It's unfortunate. There are people out there who do these things. I would just hope that, of course, it's reported to the police, let them do their work, carry out the investigations. And so that has been my position, of course. Where the aquifer is concerned, we know that the experts have done their assessments and they have said what they have said about the school. And the school is very important. We know that Bastia High School needs a home and we have to be guided by the experts. So we're now having to find solutions to several things. We have to find solutions to several things.
We have to prioritize as well.
And so every time you try, you say, okay, we're going to do this one thing. People are going to say, no, don't do that there. Why that instead of this? You're always going to do that. I'm sure even when we find our housing solutions, people are going to say, is that the idea come up with that? Why not this? So you're always going to have that discussion, that debate. I know people feel very strongly about it, but we have to be guided by the experts.
Let me just add that the overseas line to call is 305-515-3099. I kindly excuse me. Sorry I missed that one. So the overseas line is 305-515-3099. Good afternoon, caller. You're on Running in Heels.
Good afternoon. Just a second. Good afternoon, everybody in Radioland, and good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
Jacqueline Bryant.
Good afternoon.
And I have to say that the moderator is doing a spectacular job this afternoon. I tuned in late. And I always happen to catch Jacqueline Bryant, and I have to say you're extraordinary.
Thank you.
And you said you're running a clean campaign, but what could you say of Dr. Jeffrey Handley, actually, to his discredit? The man is equally remarkable, and you know it. I have to say this first, and secondly, I also have to say, as you well know, that every founding, you are an enlightened woman, a Renaissance woman. Every founding member of PLP has fled, and yet you clamored to get in. You are intelligent. You're going to tell the nation why. Because I have such high hopes for you that I feel almost traitorous to be so willing to frustrate your political ambition. Congratulations to running in heels. Why? Because women have for much too long been suppressed by this patriarchal system that predominates. Gender is no indication of potentiality. You're proving it today. We should each be allowed to express ourselves to the maximum parameters of our potentialities. And you are, by every measure, a phenomenal Renaissance woman, second to none. And I have to say that listening to you as you, well, conveyed to us how you struggle to balance the duties of absentee mom while ferociously pursuing your personal ambition. It tugged at my heart. And it seems as if I'm not alone, because one famous labor hawk, I have to say this, one famous labor hawk famously stood down this afternoon before the formidable force of your presence, your substance, and your character. So I end by saying this, that for all that, as you must be patently aware, the country is in a state of perilous imbalance. It won't be, I can assure you, after August 5th, but you are in the camp of one of those now discredited, exposed, and denunciated three who contaminated our national well. As such, no disrespect to you as a person, you should have been thoughtful enough to throw in your lot with the Labour Party, because confessedly,
caller,
yes,
could you just keep your comments to Jackie herself?
yes,
You know,
and I would say this in closing to Jackie. I am saying to you, Jackie, as an intelligent Renaissance woman, I would have loved to have you on the Labour ticket, because after August 5th, this federation of ours, which you loved so much, will be under new management, aka the 90-year-old Dr. Drew led Labour Party. And by saying this in closing, I hope that the populace would love you no less, because you are worthy of our adulation. You are just in the wrong camp.
okay, caller.
Good afternoon,
Thank
folks.
you very
Yes,
much. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Hello, good afternoon. You're on Running in Heels.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Pleasant good afternoon to all. I have just a few questions very quickly. What do you, I'm sure you've been canvassing in preparation for this upcoming election. What would you say are the three main elections, and how would you go about solving these issues? The second question is, how do you feel about the one-to-one laptop program? Do you agree with one politician who said it was a waste of resources? And would you advocate for the return of the one-to-one laptop program? The very last question is, if you were given if you were to become a minister one day and you were asked to spend, let's say, $500 million on one out of three projects, only one project you could choose, and you had a choice between a school, a hospital, or a prison, which one would you choose to build and why? Thanks for taking my question.
Okay. Thank you. Caller, you're on Running in Heels.
Good afternoon to you and good afternoon to Mrs. Dan. Very interesting to this point, two ladies. But the problem we're having here is Mrs. Brand asked you a question the other day. And I realized you failed to answer the question or you tried to be disrespectful. It was a genuine, straightforward question. Years ago, the issue in this country, Ms. Bryant, was transparency, corruption, and all of these things. And we clearly see that your leader is leading the charge in corruption in this country. You had a program on Win FM, or you used to have people calling in, talking about corruption, transparency. What has changed in such a short time? The host, I just saw something today in Newtown. I don't want the country to listen. Patrick Library, Abdul Samuel, Wendy Phipps was just in Newtown. I don't think citizens are already discussing. Something is going on in our country with these people, with this corruption and treating us a kind of how, you know. I just saw it in Newtown, so I didn't have my phone.
Caller, do you have a question that you want to ask Ms. Bryant?
I'm saying to her, what I want to ask her, you need to tell the nation openly what have made you change your mind is for corruption, transparency, and all of these things. What you was pushing so hard for over the years, what it is has changed your mind. Why are you in this situation? It is money, it is love, what it is. We need to know, Ms. Bryant.
Okay.
Because clearly,
Thank you, caller. Thank you, caller.
Hello?
Caller, you're on Running in Heels.
Good day. I'll just make a general comment. Women entering politics, or running in heels, as you put it, should not expect to be exempted from tough questioning and scrutiny, right? That is just the current political environment we have, especially around this election time. But I would ask pretty much the same question that you avoided another way. Are you satisfied with the governance we now have? If not, what would you do to advocate, or what would you advocate, what change would you advocate for? And another question, what do you think you bring to the table that your competitors don't? Those are the questions.
Thank you very much, caller. Okay.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Good.
Hello?
Yes, good day.
Yeah. I just want to say, Jackie,
Yes.
you're in there to answer no question about the Prime Minister. If they want to know anything about the Prime Minister, they never ask him themselves. You're there at the program to answer things about yourself, right? Then I want to say this. Let me say this. I was one who believed in the unity government because the size of the country, it was a good thing for us. Now, I believe that Dr. Harris is a God-given resourceful son of the soil who has used his resourcefulness for the benefit of the entire population. Now, the reason why Dr. Harris and Denzil Douglas fell out was because Dr. Harris wanted Denzil Douglas wanted to give 2,000 acres of land for land for debt. And that was against the principle of Dr. Harris. Right? That was against the principle of Dr. Harris, because Dr. Harris is saying that when the bank gets 2,000 acres of land, the ordinary people ain't gonna get it. It's rich people can buy the land. And that is why when he came into government, he took back 800 acres. And if the ordinary people now getting land, it's because of that.
Okay.
Coming to you now, I will want to find out what plans you have for the vendors on Frigate Bay Road. Another question, I would like to know if you intend to build anything for youths in the area, in your town, in the Newtown area. Because a lot of youths in the area, and they don't have much area for them to go and socialize. Right? And I would like to know if you had a stint at the United Nations anytime. And again, I would like to know if you were a guest of the Trinidad and Tobago government at any time. And I am happy to say that I am proud to see that 2 women on the program, and that shows the country that we have woman power. Thank you.
Thank you very much, caller. That is the last caller for the afternoon. I will allow Jackie to answer the questions, and then she will have a final words as she wrap up.
Okay, thank you so much. I will try my best to get through as many as possible quickly. Firstly, allow me to say, Mrs. Brandy Williams, that I will not be forced to respond to allegations. A lot of allegations are being made, and when you don't give people the responses they want, they get angry. And then the last program I was on, I respectfully said that that is your opinion, that is how you feel. It was a lot of allegations. I clarified what I needed to clarify, and I will go no further. I will not be pressured into giving people the responses they want. That's number one. Secondly, I'm here to do anything for our children that will see them strive. I strive for excellence where I can, as much as I can. Anything that will help our children, I think I'm open to having it come on board, and we assess it where necessary. I outlined the 3 main issues that I have come across while canvassing. I said that earlier on, maybe the caller joined us late, but I can tell you it's housing, employment, and more opportunities. So for the caller's benefit, those are the 3 main issues right now where I'm canvassing. I have said from the onset, I don't make reference to my competitors. I treat everybody respectfully. Everybody knows that. So there's no need to cause a rift where none exists.
That's right.
And I think we sometimes like to stir issues. We have to respect people's choices. We have to respect. You may not agree with it, but we have to respect people's choices. We live in a political environment where people choose, and that is what the elections are for. You go out to choose. It is my job on the ground now to convince you why I should be your choice. I have made my choice, and I'm trying to convince people why they should make their choice. And at the very least, let us respect each other's choices.
That's right.
I have a plan for the vendors along the Frigate Bay Road. I have said that I realize the area is a part of the economic activity in East Bastia, and that people are really depending on there for their livelihoods. But like anything else, it can be improved. And that's what we should be striving for. You have a good thing, how can we make it better?
Okay.
And I have said that I will be putting facilities in place for those vendors to make it easier for them to give them the facilities on site that they need. Some of them are out there all day.
Yes.
All day,
The
and they have a
elements.
lot to transport to go there, then to pack up to leave. And I plan on putting a facility along that area, making it look really nice. We can even support more vendors there, booths, and the other supportive facilities that they need, running water, all of that, to make it easier for them. I strongly believe that we need to support small businesses and entrepreneurs. I think to some degree we take for granted their contribution to our economy. But if you walk through the streets of East Bastille, you will realize that we have a thriving sector where it comes to small businesses. Almost every street, 2 or 3. And if the business isn't there, the person probably were doing their own thing somewhere else. And I feel strongly, as somebody who came up with 2 parents who have worked for themselves, I feel strongly about supporting our entrepreneurs. Where our young people are concerned, I've spoken about the homework assistance program, so that we'll definitely need an area for that to house them. But I also want to upgrade the sporting facilities in East Bastille, because I feel that our young people need to be engaged. Let them put down the phone for an hour or 2.
The tablet.
Right, the tablet, whatever it is, the lock of the television. And they can go out and be positively involved in some sort of sport. When they step out onto the field, I want them to already feel like the champions we are trying to create. So I want to put that in place for them so they can be involved and take them, try and steer them away from gang violence, you know?
Yes.
You want to create solutions to several problems at once. You want to make sure that they're physically active. You can get a career out of sports, and you want to make sure that they're not involved in activities in which they could harm themselves. So yes, I had a stint at the United Nations as a journalist. I won I think it's called the Reham Al Farah Fellowship. I was there for a while. That was an amazing experience. And I think that's where I got interested in international relations. I was able to cover the General Assembly. It was it was an amazing experience, and I just loved it. And so yes, I did have.
So you have to put yourself out there. These are things people want to know about you. Who is Jackie? What has she been? I've
tried as much as possible to tell my story as much as possible. It's a lot to tell in a short space of time while canvassing and running a campaign. But I don't think that's why I'm happy for opportunities like this to let people know who I am, what I've done, and where I have been. And that is what I think makes me stand out. I have a lot of experience both here and abroad. I have a lot of ideas and I have a lot of involvement. So I think the people of East Bastille can rest assured that Jacqueline Bryan will offer them the best representation possible, and Jacqueline Bryan is committed to fighting for them and getting the job done.
Okay, we are out of time, but I'll give you another 2 minutes. You can wrap up, say what you need to say to the people of East Bastille.
I would want to say to the people of East Bastille, firstly, thank you so much for the love and support you have shown me. It is beyond what I expected when I was first coming in. We know that the People's Labour Party is the youngest party in the country, but the momentum that we have been able to build is amazing. So I feel so good about the interactions I have had so far. I'm looking forward to meeting as many of you as I can in the short space of time that I have. Continue telling me about your concerns. Continue sharing your ideas with me, and I will continue including them in my plans, because if my plans don't reflect you, the people of East Bastille, then I ain't running for nobody. So I'm thankful that you have decided to give me that time of day. And on August 5th, Jacqueline and the Saw is who you should be voting for in East Bastille to see the kind of transformation we want to see in East Bastille, to provide the kind of support we want for our children, our families, and our seniors. I haven't even spoken about the care center for our seniors in the day, because I believe that we need to look for the very old, the very young, and everybody in between.
Thank you very much. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. We had with us today Miss Jackie Bryan of the People's Labour Party, the candidate for constituency number 1, East Bastyr. She's passionate about the young people, children, elderly. She's taking on board the concerns for housing, employment, and opportunities across the board for themselves and their children. Ladies and gentlemen, there you had it. She's Jackie Bryan, and she will be running in heels.
106